Hello, crafty friends. This is Anya General with Ink, Paper, Scissors. In today's video, I'll be creating several cards featuring some beautiful products from Altenew. I'll be showing you how easy it is to create personalized cards using large alphabet dies, simple stenciled backgrounds, and gorgeous florals. These cards would make wonderful gifts, and they can easily be customized for any recipient. Before we get started, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel. Your support truly helps me continue bringing you more crafty content. You'll find all the products I used linked in the video description below. Since YouTube does have a character limit, I've also included everything in my visual supply list. That's where you'll find the complete supply list along with all the product links in one convenient place. Many of those links are affiliate links at no extra cost to you. If you decide to purchase any of the products I feature, I truly appreciate it when you use my links. Affiliate commissions help support this channel and allow me to continue creating free videos, tutorials, and inspiration for you. Now let's take a look at some products from Altenew. First up is the Pond Lilies die set. I absolutely love this set. I'm a huge fan of lilies in general, so I was immediately drawn to these dies. The flowers are beautifully detailed and the size is perfect. They're large enough to become a focal point on a card, but they would also work wonderfully on scrapbook layouts, journal pages, and other paper crafting projects. One thing I really appreciate is that these dies use Altenew's keyhole system, which makes assembling layered die cuts so much easier. The pieces fit together effortlessly, making the process quick and enjoyable while still giving you beautiful dimension and detail. Next is the Tiny Bubbles Stencil. This is one of those staple stencils that I think every crafter should have in their stash. It's perfect for creating quick and easy backgrounds, and you'll see me use it on today's cards in just a few minutes. I also think it would work beautifully for mixed media projects, under-the-sea themes, playful backgrounds, masculine cards, and even adding subtle texture behind florals. Sometimes the simplest stencils become the ones we reach for the most. Next up is the classic alphabet die set, and Altenew is graciously offering a special discount on this set for my followers. The letters in this set are approximately 2 inches tall, making them perfect for creating bold monograms, personalized greetings, scrapbook titles, and custom sentiments. I especially love alphabet dies because they allow you to create cards that feel truly personal. Whether you're creating a card with someone's initials, spelling out a name, or creating a custom greeting, alphabet dies add so much versatility to your collection. If you'd like to take advantage of the special offer, simply add the classic alphabet die set to your cart on the Altenew website and use the discount code that I'm displaying on screen. I'll also have all of the details linked below for you. Now let's get started on our cards. One of the things I love most about this alphabet set is how easily it allows you to create personalized gifts. These cards would be perfect to give as a set to a friend, family member, teacher, coworker, or anyone who enjoys sending handmade cards. You can customize them with their initials and create a thoughtful gift that feels both personal and practical. Here you can see how nicely the letters fit on an A2 card front. You can use them vertically, horizontally, centered, offset, or even overlap them, depending on the look you're going for. There are so many possibilities with a simple alphabet set like this. Let's start with our background. I'm placing an A2 card panel onto my Altenew sticky mat and then centering the Tiny Bubbles stencil over the cardstock. The sticky mat does a wonderful job of holding everything in place, which makes stenciling much easier. For this first background, I'm using the color Sun-Kissed and a blending brush. I begin blending in the center of the stencil and focus most of the color there. As I work outward, I gradually lighten my pressure. I want the bubbles to appear strongest in the center of the card and then slowly fade away toward the edges. This creates a natural spotlight effect that helps draw the eye toward the focal point we'll be adding later. It also adds interest to the background without overwhelming the rest of the design. One of the things I love about stencils like this is how quickly you can create a professional-looking background. With just a few minutes of ink blending, you already have a design that adds texture, movement, and visual interest to your card. Next, it's time to die cut some lilies from white cardstock. I went ahead and die cut several sets of the pond lilies. If you're creating just one card, I would recommend die cutting at least 3 flowers. Since I'm creating 2 cards today, I'll be using 6 lilies in total. Once all of my pieces are die cut, I place the individual floral and leaf layers onto my favorite 9x12 Altenew sticky mat. Honestly, this mat might be one of my favorite crafting tools. The larger size gives you plenty of room to spread out your die cuts, and I especially love that I can ink blend multiple colors on the same mat without constantly having to stop and clean it in between. With all of my pieces laid out, I grab a medium-sized blending brush and begin with the lightest color from the Cherry Blossom Fresh Dye ink set, which is Pink Diamond. I start in the center of each petal and blend outward using small circular motions. As I work toward the edges, I lighten my pressure, leaving the outer portions of the petals mostly white. This helps create natural highlights and gives the flowers more dimension once they're assembled. I repeat this process on all of the layering pieces. Next, I switch to a detail blending brush and move to the next shade, Pinkalicious. This is where I start adding a little more depth. I focus the color toward the center of the petals and use a feathering motion to pull the color outward. These small strokes help create the natural veining and shading you often see in real flower petals. As I'm working, you may notice that the white balance in the video is a little off. I do apologize for that. I was having some camera issues the day I filmed this, and unfortunately didn't realize the problem had continued throughout this portion of the footage. I didn't have time to refilm it, but thankfully it doesn't really affect the true colors of the card, so hopefully it isn't too distracting. Once the Pinkalicious layer is complete, I move to the darkest shade in the set, Rubelite. For this layer, I'm using the same detail blending brush and focusing the color only in the very center of the petals. A little bit goes a long way here. This darker shade really helps define the flower and creates beautiful contrast between the layers. You'll also notice that on the second card, I actually took the shading one step further and added even more depth. If you compare the 2 finished cards, you'll see that the lilies on the second card have richer, deeper tones, giving them a slightly different look while still using the same color family. Now it's time to move on to the leaves. For the foliage, I'm starting with Grass Field, blending it over the entire leaf while keeping the outer edges slightly lighter. Then I bring in Shadow Creek through the center of each leaf to add dimension and create the look of natural shading. These 2 colors have become some of my favorite greens from Altenew. I find myself reaching for them over and over again because they blend beautifully together and create a realistic leaf color without much effort. Before I start assembling the flowers, I also wanted to add a little shading to the flower centers. For that, I used 3 colors: Sun-Kissed, Maple Yellow, and Snapdragon. I started with Sun-Kissed as my base color, then added Maple Yellow for a bit more depth, and finally just a touch of Snapdragon in the very center. This subtle blending doesn't take very long, but it adds a lot of realism and helps the flower center stand out against the pink petals. It's a small detail, but I think it really helps bring the lilies to life. Once all of the ink blending is complete, it's time for my favorite part: assembling the flowers. Thanks to Altenew's keyhole system, putting these lilies together is incredibly quick and easy. The pieces practically guide themselves into place, which makes assembly much less intimidating, especially if you're newer to layered die-cut florals. With the flowers assembled, I move on to the classic alphabet die set. At this point, I wasn't quite sure how bold I wanted the finished design to be, so I decided to die cut my initials from 2 different colors of Altenew glitter cardstock, light sapphire and tanzanite. I always like to audition colors before committing, because sometimes what looks perfect in your head doesn't necessarily work once it's on the card. After laying everything out and testing both options, I ultimately decided to go with the darker tanzanite glitter cardstock. The deeper shade provided a stronger contrast against the background and helped the initials become more of a focal point on the finished card. Now that all of my pieces are ready, it's time to start assembling the cards. For both designs, I wanted to keep the layouts fairly simple and let the oversized initials become the focal point. The bright yellow bubble background adds just enough interest without competing with the flowers or the glitter cardstock. You'll notice that I arranged the lilies slightly differently on each card. That's one of the things I love about working with floral die sets. Even when you're using the exact same supplies, simply changing the placement of the flowers can completely change the look and feel of the finished design. For the first card, I tucked the flowers around the initials to frame them and create a balanced composition. The lilies almost feel like they're growing around the monogram, which I thought was a fun look. For the second card, I clustered the flowers a little more heavily toward the corners and added a small sentiment to finish the design. I love how that simple greeting transforms the card from a personalized note card into something that could be used for a specific occasion. As you watch the rest of the assembly, you'll see that these cards come together very quickly once all of the die cutting and ink blending is finished. That's one of the reasons I enjoy creating card sets like this. You can do all of your die cutting and coloring assembly line style and then put together several cards in a relatively short amount of time. I also think these would make wonderful gifts. You could create a set featuring someone's initials, package them together in a card box, and have a thoughtful handmade gift that's both beautiful and practical. And here are the finished cards. I love how these turned out. The personalized initials paired with the soft stenciled background and pond lilies make these feel both elegant and thoughtful. I think they would make wonderful gifts, whether you're creating a set for a friend, family member, teacher, or anyone who still enjoys sending handmade cards. I'd love to know, if you were creating a set like this, would you use someone's initials or spell out a full name or greeting? Let me know in the comments below. As always, you'll find all of the products I used linked below in both the video description and my visual supply list. Don't forget to take advantage of the special offer on the Classic Alphabet die set. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel for more card making ideas, techniques, and inspiration. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. Until next time, happy crafting!